monster MLB slate. We have a full one. Not totally monster. It's 11. It's not 15. But yeah, it was another frustrating day of baseball for me yesterday. I'm ready to turn things around, but man, I'm just having some trouble with it. So we're gonna try and figure out what the best things are to do. There's a lot of different options here. What do you got called up right there?
This is yesterday.
Talk a little bit.
So I cashed in the big one yesterday with my Burns and Lorenzen lineup. They had Milwaukee and Chicago. Yelich, Yelich basically carried the whole team. Nobody else could really do much, but it was enough to cash at least. It's like 14th or something like that. And then my Burns Kirby lineup. This is in I think the single entry or something. Couldn't figure out a way to play the Braves, huh? So yeah, I mean, I was happy with the process, and listen, fortunately for me, Strider gave up the 3 runs. Otherwise, the no Strider lineups would have been dead. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, these guys really smashed. I mean, Burns was freaking awesome yesterday. I'm ready to get after it for today.
Pretty easy to see what I missed. I didn't play any of those 3 pitchers, so pretty much dead if you're not doing that. All right, let's go game by game here. We're gonna see which ones are first. You got KC and New York, right?
Yes.
All right, Cheech, why don't you start this one off?
Yeah. So first of all, overall view of the slate. I'll just kind of give you an idea. I like 3 stacks. Actually, I like maybe like 6 or 7, but 3 more than the others. And as far as pitching goes, I kind of narrow it down to 4 top ones. And one of them is in this game. Apparently, having pitchers against KC is kind of a cheat code now as well. So I guess Clark Schmidt's a good play. So he's one of my top 4 right now. And then as far as the hitting goes in this game, I do have the Yankees as not one of my top, but I have them as like maybe 6th or 7th or something like that. So right now I have Schmidt and the Yankees.
Yeah, I have them both too. I'm a little look. The Yankees have just been very disappointing. It seems like whenever Judge is on the lineup, they don't hit. And the weather. Do you feel like the weather's okay there?
Yeah.
Okay. It's supposed to be a little drizzly. That's why I want to.
Yeah. No, it was raining this morning. It's sunny now, but it's hot, so maybe it'll storm again. It's possible.
No, it looks like it's all right. I just wanted to double check because I know the Boston game is a little bit dicey. I like Schmidt as well. It's not my favorite kind of guy to roster, but he's 6,200. That's too cheap. It's KC. We're gonna have to play this a good portion of the time. I like the Yankees, and honestly, I guess I would have thought that they would look even better, but like it's pretty fair that they don't because of how kind of poor they've been, to be honest. So I'm in on the Yankees as one of the stacks that I'm interested in, and I'm in on Schmidt. We're on the same page here. We can move on to the next one. You want to start it off?
Yeah, so we have San Francisco against Washington, Alex Wood against Irvin. And this is one of my top stacks today. That would be San Francisco. Both raw points and value-wise, I like them quite a bit. And I'm not getting to, at least right now, neither of the pitchers in this game.
Yeah, San Francisco, I think I agree, is one of the stacks that I'm interested in. The thing that's kind of throwing me is that there's wind coming. It's sort of crosswindy, but it's like a little bit coming in from left, and it's like 15 miles an hour. If it's coming in that hard, I'm probably not going to be as high on it, although it won't affect the lefties quite as much. And it's a huge stadium upgrade with the 85-degree weather and 50% humidity and all that stuff. So I do like the lefties, especially for San Francisco. And I have them as a good stack as well. And again, no interest in either of the pitchers. Is there I don't know, San Francisco's doing weird stuff with their pitchers this year. I guess it's too weird. It doesn't make sense on a big slate to maybe on a really small slate. I would play Alex Wood here, but probably not on this slate. All right. Next up, why don't you start us off? Because I'm trying when we go with your screen, I think I just have to let you start off all the games so that way I can catch up because the ones that all start at the same time, I can't tell which is first.
So I have the Mets at Boston, and as you mentioned, it is the one with the most weather concerns. But even that, it doesn't seem that bad. But it's certainly worth keeping an eye on. Listen, you got 5 games all starting at 7 o'clock. Well, I should have an idea of what's going on, I guess. But I do have the Mets as one of the top stacks today. Again, and as far as the Red Sox side, I'm not getting the Red Sox, and I'm not getting to either of the pitchers. I never seem to get to Senga, and sometimes he plays well, sometimes he does well, sometimes he doesn't. But I'm not getting to any of the pitchers here. So for me, it's the Mets, but they're showing up again is pretty chalky. So you got to listen. They've been chalky recently, and they haven't done anything. So they rate pretty highly for me, but at high ownership, I probably prefer other teams. But right now they rate number 3 for me overall.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Playing the Mets.
Yep.
Yeah, I have the Mets on my list as well. I actually think that if you wanted to take like a hero tournament play, you could say, okay, they've never seen him before. Senga's he's looked really, really, really good lately. And he has a monster ceiling, which we know. So I'm in on the idea of maybe taking a shot. I just think there's probably better options, and I don't think I'm going to end up with it. But it is going to be like a completely unknown guy who's facing a team that's never seen him before. That we'll see what the lineup looks like when it comes out. But I think there's probably a deep tournament play for him here. I just think that he's probably going to end up on the outside looking in for me. But I did want to mention him because if I was playing a ton of lineups tonight, I think he would be the one I would be playing. So.
Well, I will say this, by the way. I mean, I don't know if you believe in this kind of thing, but Mets Red Sox is just one of those series that especially I would say especially in Boston. It's in New York too. But the Mets go into Boston. They're gonna luckily get out of there without peanuts being thrown on them and beer thrown on them. I mean, like it's it. The fans are going to be all over the Mets. And I don't know if Seng is the kind of guy that gets rattled by stuff like that. But just something to keep in mind. And the other thing is it's possible also that if you think of doing something like stacking the Mets, this could be one of those games where you always mention San Francisco will do whatever is in their power to beat the Dodgers at all costs. If it means using their whole bullpen to do it. I'm getting the feeling that if Crawford's even in a little bit of trouble here, they're just not going to let the Mets get after them. So I don't know. These are more and more reasons why the Mets, plus the weather. I'm trying to talk myself off of a chalky team that never seems to get there. So I guess I don't need too much to do that to do that.
Yeah. You got Travis in chat saying the Mets are the Giants are a stack every single day. I'm trying to figure out what he means by that. They're literally the epitome of the most average offense in baseball, and they also play 15 guys. So they literally they all have pinch hit risk. So I completely disagree that they're always in play, unless you wanted to say that everybody in baseball is always in play. But I do think they are in play today.
You know what it is? They're always cheap.
Well, that's because they only get 2 at bats.
Right. I mean,
none of their players. We have a team with nobody who's going to get 500 at bats. It's because everybody's platooning.
Right.
It's tough. What's up to Joanne? I'm sure Joanne. We'll see how everybody's doing golf wise when we get through the games. All right, Philadelphia, Cleveland. I think it is funny. I do think that kind of stuff is those big games or whatever. But I just want to point out that Senga's last 2 starts were against Arizona and the Dodgers, and he completely dominated both of them. All right, Philadelphia, Cleveland. Sheets. What do you got here?
I am okay. So I am not getting these pitchers, but I can't imagine why we wouldn't want to play Ranger Suarez. I mean, he's like a legend this year, right? I mean, he always seems to do well. And listen, Cleveland's been better. They have a couple of I won't say outlier games, but they've been performing better than people have expected. And I don't know. I mean, even though it doesn't project all that well, I'll throw Suarez into the mix. As far as the hitting goes, neither of these teams are showing up in my. Oh, that's not true. Sorry about that. I actually show Philly as being a pretty good stack, but not very good value. If that means anything. So
yeah, I understand that. That's sort of what I would have figured you'd have there. The run total seems like, well, the wind is blowing in a little bit. I'm sort of not really sure what you're talking about with Ranger Suarez. He hasn't really done anything special.
Oh, really?
He had one good game. He had a 30 fantasy point game once.
No, I guess I'm looking at this collection here.
Yeah, he had some
as
decent
opposed, as opposed to what's happened since then.
Yeah, and it's a terrible matchup. I never would consider any of these pitchers personally, but I also think that kind of just surprised by the Philly run total. Like I know Gavin Williams is up and top prospect and everything. If there was a little better hitting conditions, I think I'd be stacking Philly up today. And maybe, but the flip side of that is there's also an argument for Gavin Williams. I think that's probably the better argument for the pitchers in this game. I don't love taking pitchers against Philly, but we saw what Corbin Burns did yesterday. They're traveling. I don't think it's the worst play in the world to take a shot on Williams, but nothing that stands out as being a priority for me in this game. And then we've got Arizona, Cincinnati. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess I'll start. I mean,
I like it when you start. I think you do a good job because you're a little more prepared early in the morning than I am.
Yeah, I have Arizona as the top stack, like by a lot. I don't know why, but I have them. When you combine both the value and the raw points, all whatever, I don't even see them being owned that much. I don't quite exactly understand it. They're in the great park and all this stuff. So right now, we put a gun to my head. Right now, Arizona is clearly my top overall stack. And as far as Cincinnati, this is kind of weird to say, but same comment as Philly. I mean, they look good, but they're expensive. How the hell did Cincinnati become so expensive? Oh, because De La Cruz is like 11,000.
No, but they've been the best offense in baseball. One of the best offenses in baseball.
Yeah, but
they're in first place right now. They're literally in first place after a terrible start. Like, it's pretty incredible.
Lieutenant John McClane is 5,700. I mean,
these guys all hit. They brought in all the young guys, and it turns out all the young guys hit. And steal, but they all steal bases too. They've got
and this dude's still probably too cheap. This Encarnacion guy, he's still
sure he is. Yeah, if he gets in there today, he will. Yeah, I think this is a really good side to stack both games. 80 degrees, wind blowing out to right center, 8 miles an hour. It's in Cincinnati, which you got to love. 2 bad pitchers on the mound. Bullpens that have been better than maybe people expect coming into the season, but I'm afraid of stacking. I'm very, very high on both of these. This is probably this is definitely one of my favorite spots, maybe my favorite spot on the night. And like you, I have Arizona a tiny bit ahead of. You know what? It's only because of the pricing that I have them ahead of Cincinnati, really.
Right.
And I mean, it's just I actually like, and they're expensive too, in from 2 through 4. But I think that this is a really good spot to just like. I mean, I flirted with it when I first looked today. Like maybe I'll just recycle everything from this game over and over around in different ways and stuff because I really
game stack this crap with all combinations.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'd like to get some of. All right. All right. So what do we got next? We got the Dodgers next.
We have Dodgers against Texas. We have sort of Corey Seager revenge.
home revenge. For a team that loves him. If he was coming back to LA, that would be kind of fun, but I don't even think that, you know how I feel about hitters with that. Doesn't make a difference. The weirdest thing I like in this game, and the way that if I was going to play like something super chalky, which I don't think you're going to have to worry about too much today, I think I would actually play some Heaney against the Dodgers. I just think the upside is there. It is a team that owns them, and I also would be stacking the Dodgers tonight against Heaney. So I think everything is viable. Don't forget, for the Dodgers, they've got Heaney, who pitched for them last year. They're going to Texas, where they won their last World Series, where they won the only World Series they've won since 1988, the second in my lifetime. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Dodgers and Heaney are probably where I start and end this, but I don't think either of them are massive priorities. And that's pretty much it. Sorry, I went on that one first. Sorry, Sheets.
When I was going to college in Boston, I was at my friend's, my cousin's house. We were watching that Dodgers A's game, Dodgers A's series, and my friend he had A's and under in that Kirk Gibson game.
Oh, brutal!
Yeah, he got Kirk Gibson for all the money.
Brutal.
Yep. I don't really have anything in this game, and that's probably a mistake. I think that you hit it right on the head with Heaney. I think every time Heaney pitches, you should have some of him and some of his opponent.
Mhm.
And I think the Dodgers are, just a perfect. I say perfect, whatever. The fact that the Dodgers can hit also doesn't hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll probably force some Haney in. I'll probably force some Dodgers in.
Yeah, you're looking for a one-off. Will Smith. Remember, he caught this guy. I love when they caught the pitcher before. All right, so I started off with Atlanta and Milwaukee.
So, what's his name? Leo Ganitas, whatever his name is in there. He'll be happy to know. You guys will all be happy to know that you can all play Freddie Peralta today because I'm not playing him. Every time I play him, everybody wants me to remind them to not, that I'm playing him, so they won't play him. So today I'm not playing him. And so this is the day that you could all take a chance and play him against Atlanta and see what happens. I am also not playing Soroka. Atlanta, it's just they just never not get there. You know what I mean? They were doing nothing, and the next thing you know, I look up at the lobbies. I'm like, where all these Atlanta stats come from?
Well, they weren't just doing nothing; they were legitimately no hit through 6.
They were doing nothing, and struck. Neither team was doing anything. And the teams set, I think, a record for most home runs, like after the 7th inning or something like that, between the two of them in this season. It was some crazy number.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So nonetheless, you're probably supposed to play some Atlanta every day.
Yeah.
So I will say you could play some Atlanta, and aside from that, I don't have anything.
Yeah, I'll play Freddie Peralta. I have no problem with it.
Oh, let's go.
I have no issue. I think that people are too afraid of teams like Atlanta when they should be more afraid of teams like
Arizona.
Well, like Philly last year would be an example of a team. Maybe somewhat, but not even Arizona because they don't. I'm more interested in the teams that like if teams have a reasonable strikeout rate and don't have a lot of guys who just are walk a crazy amount. I'm totally fine with just taking pitchers against them. Atlanta is like they have the best, they're the best hitting team against righties and all this stuff, but they do strike out a reasonable amount, not a crazy amount, you know what I mean, a little below average, but nothing obscene. And I just think Peralta is just a guy to consider at 1% ownership, or sorry, actually, he's going to get some ownership tonight. Actually, also Atlanta is much better at home than they are on the road. For what it's worth, still they're good. But I'll take a shot with Freddie Peralta. That's something I can do to get a little different today. All right, White Sox and Twins. What do you got here, Sheets?
Isn't this the nuts for both pitchers? I mean, you have Ryan against the White Sox. You have Wright against the White Sox, and then you have Lance Lynn against Minnesota. So I like both these guys. And on the other side of the plate, though, I have Minnesota as good value, and they're always good value because they're cheap because they don't hit. But I do like Minnesota a little bit, as well as both pitchers.
Yeah, I'm with you on both pitchers. Lynn would be my priority. I like the price. Obviously, the Twins are the nut matchup for upside, even though that again, they occasionally can get there. I think I like Lynn a little bit better. I don't know if I want to spend up for Ryan, and we've got another guy to spend up for, so it's a conversation worth having probably. I would take the other guy in this case over Joe Ryan, but I do think Joe Ryan is still a good play. I think you could try and play them together, but you're gonna have to find a cheap stack. And I am not getting to the hitting, but again, as you mentioned, if you're not going to playing a fly ball like playing a Kepler or Kirilloff or even Castro against Lynn at 20 whatever hundred and no ownership, it's totally legitimate. So. Minnesota is going to continue to stand out, and they're partly though just important to remember why they're standing out because they've been terrible. These guys have been terrible this season, and that's why they're so cheap. But we can't say that Kirilloff doesn't have talent and that Kepler doesn't have talent. And then they also platoon a lot. That's the other problem. So anyway, but I'm on Lynn more than Ryan, and I like both of them. That's pretty much it for me here. Next up.
If I read these numbers correctly, Shohei Ohtani got smoked in his last 2 outings. Maybe I'm using again. It's so hard to tell with the box scores here because it has his hitting as well in some of these other games. So if I'm reading this right, his last start was home against Houston.
I wouldn't say he got smoked. I just said he'd have bad games. Yeah, I would say that.
Well, I mean,
Well, like he didn't give up. Like it's not like he didn't get out of the second inning, which we've seen from him before. He's
five runs, 8 fantasy points. Someone else can play that. And then the other game that I referred to at San Diego was 5 runs and 4.7 fantasy points.
San Diego and Houston, and yeah,
that's fine. Nonetheless, he rates as a top play today. It's the way pitching works, right? He rates as a top play today at home against Pittsburgh. And on the other side of the equation, not on the other side of the equation, I don't like Pittsburgh. What I was going to say is that I have the Angels as good value here as well. Not like they're not showing a lot of upside nowadays, but I definitely have them as good as cheap enough to play. So Angels and Ohtani.
Yep. I'm into Ohtani. I am not into the Angels. It's such good hitting weather in Anaheim, though. Like, and it's never like this. But why do people keep? When are they going to learn? Why does everybody want to pick on Oviedo every time? Guys had one bad game this season. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't get it. There's nothing except for that people don't know his name.
It's New York. It's New York.
It's what?
It's just like New York everywhere. It's like
it just doesn't make any sense to me exactly. Like why? I do think this game, like I mean, the hit, like
actually, this is not like New York. Like in New York, they're just incredibly recency biased or whatever, and impatient.
Oh yeah. You guys have
like the opposite. Like he never gives up anything, and yet people still want to stack against him.
New York is definitely the biggest recency bias, I think.
Oh, the worst. It's the worst.
Philadelphia and Boston are close, but like I think New York is ahead of them.
Now let me tell you something. I mean, I lived in New York. I lived in Boston, whatever it is. Like the sports intelligence of the people in Boston is like 7,000 times sharper than that of New York.
Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, like you go to like actual like sports bars in Boston, like they're actually like talking about like sports in a semi-reasonable.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like if you go to New York, they're just the worst. They're literally the worst.
Yeah. No, that's pretty funny. I've always wondered who that is. I really feel like the Bay Area for us in California is sort of like the laughing stock in general. Although now that the Padres are good, the Padres are definitely the dumbest fans I've ever seen. And the sports radio will back it up. But yeah, it's pretty funny. That's a conversation for another day. But anyway, it was. I agree with Ohtani. I'm not getting to the Angels.
Yeah.
Although I'm just pointing out that you're not going to get better hitting weather, and it's 83 degrees. It's so hot out here. It's like 90 in Santa Barbara, man. Or it got to like almost 90 yesterday.
The fourth pitcher I like the most. Well, there were 5. There was Schmidt, Lynn, Ryan, Ohtani, and the next is coming from this next game, and that would be Valdez. Mm-hmm. Good matchup, good pitcher, good everything, and yeah. I'm not getting to Houston. I'm not getting to Sears, and sorry, Eric Johnson, I will not be playing Oakland against Franmir Valdez.
Yeah, I agree about everything. I think this is Valdez and pretty much nothing else for me. I don't have any issue if you want to take a one-off from Houston. I don't know who that one-off even would be. I don't like this lineup outside of Stacks in general, so I'm probably just off of the hitting in this game, and I will play Valdez. TJ asked me the best game stack. I'm going to go back to it. It's Cincinnati.
Yeah. So I will start with this last one. We have the Kikuchi revenge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Coming back to Seattle. So I actually like Seattle here as a little bit of a value piece. And I'm not getting to any of the hitting. So for me, it would be, the pitching. So for me, it would just be Seattle, and that's it.
Yeah, we're totally lockstep on this one.
We're dead. We are dead. That's it.
I like Seattle a little bit. I don't think that it's going to be a full stack, but I think like you have a really cheap complementary stack, which makes it easier to get into some of those top pitchers that we talked about. I also think that like I think I'm not going to get to Bryce Miller or anything, but I do think that Seattle is going to be unowned, and you've got the 2,800 Suarez, the 3,300 Teoscar. Yeah. France is super cheap, and then if you want to get frisky, you could add the Rodriguez. But I'll probably play a little Tom Murphy, pitcher against the catcher thing, former catcher, all that stuff. I like the Mariners. I think that they're going to be my complimentary stack, the favorite of my little 3-mans. In terms of full stacks, I'll just sum up what I'm doing. Arizona, Cincinnati is going to be my priority. The Yankees, then the Giants, then the Mets for me, and then the get weird one is the Dodgers, and which shouldn't be a get weird one, but it is. And then the pitchers I'm deciding between are Schmidt, Lynn, Ryan, Ohtani, Valdez, and then I'm going to mix in some Peralta.
I will just say that if you play the Reds, you do have Elway De La Cruz is 6,500,
Yep.
and I know this, that, and the other thing, but in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
No, yeah, you can't do that though for baseball guys.
I'm just saying.
If a basketball guy doesn't have a game for like 6 games in a row, then it makes some sense. But when a baseball guy doesn't, it doesn't really.
Yeah, but at 6,500, I mean,
well, just because he's striking out every at bat, but this is going to be hard to strike him out today. You got a no strikeout pitcher against him.
How about having 4 strikeouts and 5 fantasy points in a game that was 21 runs? That's almost impossible. That's like that Trout game.
The weird thing about that is that he only got 5 at bats. I'm not really sure how that happened.
Well, yeah, it probably got on with an error or something like that, or a couple.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it was.
But the other thing is that I remember that Angels game where they scored like 25 runs or whatever, and Trout had like 3 fantasy points.
It's so weird when that stuff happens, and it's really annoying. And then also, you know what else is annoying? It's annoying when the reverse happens. Like the other night, you get the Atlanta stack, and they score 11 or they score 12 runs, but 8 RBIs go to Austin Riley only. You know what I mean? So you don't really need the Braves. You just need Austin Riley. The guys who played Austin Riley as a one-off made a fortune, and the people who stacked the Braves didn't make anything. All right, so real quick golf check in, guys. Let's see where we're at.
I am basically stone dead.
Oh, that's infuriating.
I was doing so well too.
I'm really upset. Like now it's +3 is looking more likely, and I still think it's going to go to +4, but it just went to 70% +3.
Will that help you? Because nothing will help me. So I'll put +4. I'll root for.
Yeah, it'll help me +4. I'll have a 6-6, and I've got good guys going. I've got unknown Cam Young, who's now 1 under, and which 1 under now is like everybody's going backwards. I've got Fleetwood Smith and Fleetwood Young and Cam Fleetwood Young and Jordan Spieth. That keeps saying Cam Smith in my main line.
It looks like I have,
and all those guys are doing well.
I played 150, and I got 5. I got 5 lineups, 6 for 6.
Okay. You only need 1.
What?
You only need 1.
You only need 1. That is true. And that is look at no. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I got 9. It looks like. All right. Who's doing well? I'm trying to think of any of these lineups look any good. I don't know.
Harmon.
And some of these guys are still on the course, so they're going to probably go.
A lot of these guys. Some guys are like just 3 or 4 holes in.
Yeah, I don't want to miss. I don't want to be on the course.
Yeah.
If I'm inside the cut, you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I hear you.
I want to be.
Yeah, I think look, the cheap guys. I just want to point out the cheap guys. Matthew Jordan, the Kenny's call of the 7 years. He's been there since he was 7.
Oh, that was a legendary call.
Tied 14th, but hey, so my Matthew Southgate, who was mentioned on our show, who was my guy. He's 1 under. He's tied. He's tied for 14th going into the weekend. We'll see where it probably ends up like higher than that, to be honest with you. The Marcel CM, our other one, he's 1 under.
That's right. The Marcel.
Yeah, there's a few. Kenny mentioned Tristan Lawrence as well, and
I didn't hear that. I didn't get that one.
There's a number of them that are actually doing quite well. So we'll see how that goes.
Minwoo Lee is T4.
Yeah, Minwoo Lee had a nice day today. Bounced back after. Yeah, he's looking good. All right, Cheats. Well, I'll let you go. I'm guessing you're not going to be around for live tonight.
No. I'm going to try to make it.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, I'll see you at 6 Eastern. We'll see you guys at 6 Eastern, and good luck.